Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, Gracie Davidson, and Juliana Dennis in the Spark Studio. Today we have a very special guest on this episode of Community Chats. We are so glad to have Dr. Charles Karr, Interim UAH President, in the Spark Studio. Stick around to hear him discuss who he is, his goals for UAH, career advice, and much more. I'm ready to get started. Let's go, guys. Hello, Dr. Karr. Welcome to being in the Spark Studio. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Good morning. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking time to have me over. I know what a tremendous effort y'all have over here at I2C and working as a student. You spend an awful lot of time. And so you'll know it's my very first podcast. Holy cow.
Wow. Made it to the big leagues.
We're very happy to be your first.
Well, it's taken a long time to get to the big leagues, but I guess I'm thrilled to be here.
Okay, you said it took a long time, and that's my first question. I know me and Juliana did some research about you to learn some more. You came in the middle of the school year. We want to know who you are, where you came from.
I grew up in the panhandle of Florida. When I graduated from high school, I was all set to go to the Georgia Institute of Technology. At the last minute, somebody over at UNA offered me a baseball scholarship, and I just knew I was going to be the next Nolan Ryan, so I had to go do that. So I went over and spent a year at North Alabama and played ball. Realized if I was going to make a living, it probably needed to be with my head and not with my arm. Transferred down to another institution in the state down in Tuscaloosa. Earned an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering, a master's and a PhD in engineering mechanics. Then I left that institution and went to work for the U.S. Bureau of Mines for about 6 years in a facility right there on the campus. And even during that time, I would moonlight by teaching some classes in the College of Engineering. Then I took a job there. Went on to become an assistant professor, associate professor, full professor. For several years, I was the head of the Department of Aerospace Engineering Mechanics, then became an associate dean in the College of Engineering. I guess for about the last 16 years or so, I served as the dean of the College of Engineering. Then I retired, and my wife was finishing up our retirement home on the water in Pensacola, Florida. Been retired very, very short time, and this opportunity availed itself. And so now, let's just suffice to say, my wife is finishing up our vacation home.
Oh, wow.
So we're really, really excited to be up here in Huntsville and be at UAH.
So what was the final, the encouragement, the push to actually take this position after 26 years at Alabama and going into that retirement and getting kind of straight back into a new beginning?
Yeah, I guess there were really two aspects of that. One's kind of professional, one's more personal. On the professional side, I've known about UAH for a long, long time. Many, many years ago, I used to come up in the summers and work at Marshall Space Flight Center, running a summer faculty program. So I've always known what great things are here at UAH. But, it's also the community that's surrounded UAH up here. When you look at the things that are going on in North Alabama up here, it's really just phenomenal. And so professionally, I just felt like it was an opportunity I really just needed to take advantage of. Personally, really what happened was I was working off of the retirement system of Alabama, and my wife and I would have been fine financially. But many years ago, I kind of volunteered coached at a high school down there in Tuscaloosa, and they started a little band at that time, and I just loved that little band, right? Every day I'd go over there and speak to those young people and everything. Everybody thought I was this really hardcore football kind of guy, but really, really liked that band. And right about the time I retired, I got a note from the headmaster down there that said the band really needed new uniforms and new equipment, and they were seeking out a rather large donation. And I told my wife at that time, I said, if we stay retired, we're going to be fine, but we can't do that. Mm-hmm. We can't go out and really help some people that we felt like needed those kinds of things. So,
right.
So I guess on a personal side, that was probably a big part of it.
So you were obviously very, student-based in your approach, and you obviously go out and, care a lot about the students on this campus as well as how it's running. How was the experience, obviously, coming in December when, the semester was kind of coming to a close, about to come to the spring semester? What was it like kind of coming into a middle of a semester as the president?
I'm sure coming into a role of president of UAH is no just easy. Hey, this is my first day. You came into the middle of the school year. I guess that had to be a whirlwind.
Well, it's not so bad when I have delightful young people such as you two.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you mentioned the young people. I think first and foremost, everybody needs to recognize that we're in the people business, right? Mm-hmm. Everything we do here is around young people. In fact, if you looked at it as a production facility, everybody needs to recognize that our product wears shoes, right? It's young people that are going to walk across a stage, receive a degree, and go out and be great citizens in North Alabama, the state of Alabama, in the United States, and across the world. So to me, it really is all about the young people here and then the faculty and the staff. It all blends together, but make no mistake about it, we're definitely in the people business. Coming in the middle of the semester, one of the things that sometimes students lose sight of is the fact that, look, I get it, your whole world revolves around a semester calendar. Mm-hmm. But that's not always the case for everybody else. The general operation of a university, it's not always just semester based.
Right.
So coming in initially, you want to try to get a lay of the land. You want to get a chance to meet people, kind of get a feel for what's going on here, get your finger on the pulse of the University of Alabama in Huntsville. And that really doesn't matter whether you come in at the beginning of a semester or in the middle of the semester. Coming in at the end of the semester, getting around and visiting students, it was a little bit of a stressful time.
Right,
the end
I'm
of the semester tends to be for them. But it was really, really gratifying to be able to get to go to a graduation ceremony when I had not been here that long. Mm-hmm. I really felt like it wasn't my place because I didn't really have a role in all of the great achievement that the graduates were responsible for. But it was really, really fun afterwards to get a chance to visit with some young people. And one of the things I really took away from it was so many of the young people already had jobs. Mm-hmm. I just kind of walk around and randomly speak to people. Hey, what are your plans now? They go, oh, I'm working at Blue Origin, or I'm working at Regions Bank, or I'm working here. So I thought that was really, really important. And so many of our graduates who leave UAH, they actually stay here in the community. I think that's a big part of what we need to do here, right? We need to recognize that you folks are going to go out and be great engineers and great scientists and great nurses and great school teachers, but we want you to be really, really good citizens of our community as well.
Right. That's awesome. I know you're a people person. You're about the students. What would you say that's your favorite aspect about coming to UAH? What would you say your favorite part about UAH is?
Well, actually, my wife will tell you that I'm quite shy.
I could never tell.
No, I've really, really enjoyed coming here to UAH and getting a chance to get out on the campus, popping into the Charger Union, going over to the cafeteria, getting to meet the young people. They're obviously very, very bright, but oh my goodness, they're just so polite. I mean, every conversation I have with them is just chock full of yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, sir. So that's been really fun for me. I think the other day I went over to the cafeteria and there were 3 young people sitting there at a table. And I walked up and said, hey, you mind if I join you? They said, well, we're about to leave. And I said, oh, well, I just introduced myself, Chuck Karr, Interim President. Oh, we can stay. So just kind of seeing the surprise on people's face when you get out and mix with them. But, I think it's important that students recognize that the faculty here and the administration, we really care about them, and we're fully invested in their future. And we kind of recognize that, you entrust us with your future when we come here, and that's a responsibility I think we should take really seriously.
Mm-hmm. I can tell that y'all do that because I know in a lot of my classes, they're like, if y'all ever need a recommendation, you need anything, our meeting hours, please contact us. They're really open. They want us to grow, and I can really tell that.
Well, just remember that when they hammer you with homework and
yes,
they want you to grow.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Keep that in mind in the middle of the semester to the finals, but... Yeah, so obvious. I mean, I feel like it does come as quite a shock to students. Again, as you said, they're just, having lunch and you come and you actually make the effort to go out and intermingle and meet them face to face, not just see, your students as like a number or percentage of, who's actually graduating and what jobs that they're going into, what career fields. What would you say your top 3 most important responsibilities that you believe of being the president?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question. I think number 1, the president of a university is charged with the responsibility of trying to set a direction and a vision and goals for where the university needs to go. I think when you look what's going on here in Huntsville, there are just so many opportunities here at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. So with that regard, it's really not about trying to create something. It's really about trying to limit it and focus on a few things initially. Because again, there's just so many opportunities. Aside from that, I think you want to try to put processes in place so that the university has an opportunity to achieve the goals and directions you set up. And then probably the third thing, I think it's really, really important that as you run into challenges and all, you're able to stay the course. But, really, I would tell you that for almost anything that I can think of that you want to accomplish, those three things are things you want to do. Number one, you want to establish vision for what it is you hope to achieve. Then you want to put a process in place so that if you follow the process, it gives you a chance to achieve the vision. And then number three, you got to have the strength of character and the self-discipline to stay with the process when it gets to be really challenging. And, I actually try to tell people I've got like a little example I'll give you, right? So I've got a vision for myself. I'm 10 pounds lighter. Okay? And boy, I'm going to look good too.
Make a visual.
Really, and my wife has some kind of a process that if I follow, it has something to do about me getting up and running 5 miles in the morning and not being able to have ice cream with my Shih Tzu puppy, right? So where does all that fall apart, right? Well, it falls apart when I drive into work and I pass those 3 Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, yeah.
To work every morning, right? But I think, almost anything you want to be successful at, as you think about where your career wants to go, I think that's really important. If you want to think about being successful in college, it's really important. Almost anything I know that you want to be successful at, if you can kind of do those 3 things, I think it gives you a good opportunity to do what it is you need to do.
We just learned your personal vision, but what's your vision here for UAH?
Yeah, so I think there are a lot of things that have to happen here at UAH or can happen here at UAH. I guess first and foremost, I would tell you that I really believe that this community, this region, deserves, and at some point is going to command, a great comprehensive institution of higher learning. And I believe absolutely that institution should be the University of Alabama, Huntsville. So I think there are some things that we probably need to do to try to start moving in that direction. I think ultimately at this university we want to grow the enrollment. There's just such tremendous opportunity here for our students, so many hands-on experiences, whether it's internships and co-ops with the many companies here, whether it's access to the research park over here, Cummings Research Park, or involvement with Hudson Alpha. So I think we want to kind of spread that word and help try to improve our contribution to the workforce needs here in the community. So I think we want to grow the university. In order to do that, I think we need to add to the faculty here. Ultimately, we need to increase the size of the faculty, and that goes to staff as well. Many places here, it seems like we're very, very streamlined in our operations, and we probably need to expand that. And of course, with all that's going to come facilities as well, right? We need some new facilities here. And then all of this comes back to, well, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Right? Do you add facilities to add students? I think right now one of the limiting factors for us is probably the number of beds on campus, and I know that's an issue for young people here that are going to UAH. If we don't have a residence hall, then getting out and competing or paying for those kinds of apartments and everything out in the community, they seem like they're priced for something other than the young people here who
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So that gets to be a little bit of a challenge. But those are all kinds of things we can work on. I think there's some places where we can have some advances. Working really, really hard right now to try to be able to maybe add a new engineering building. I think we need to be a great comprehensive university, but we've always had in our DNA STEM. So if we have an opportunity to add a new engineering building, I think that'd be really, really beneficial. I also think that we have a great opportunity to look at moving across Sparkman Drive over to the Executive Plaza area. The acreage we own over there affords us an opportunity to do some things that could really, really transform the university. If we go over there and add some residence halls, but add some dining opportunities and some sort of a public-private partnership, maybe enhance the improvements that have been made to campus life here. I think the Alton Kirk Greenway is a huge, huge addition to some campus life here. But I think we have the opportunity to just increase that exponentially by moving across the highway over there.
That's awesome.
You kind of came at a perfect time of, Huntsville is just exponentially growing just within this past year alone. And I've only been here for the past 3 years, and there have already been so many changes. So these kind of more long-term goals of keeping up with the growth of Huntsville and, kind of showing that in the students who do come here on campus or hopefully come from, all over the country and see UAH as, wow, this is, really a place that I can send my kids and they'll have the best opportunities. So
this is a place that young people can come to and have great opportunities. And the truth of the matter is, keeping up with Huntsville, I didn't come at a perfect time. I came a few years late, right?
Yeah.
Because there's been great opportunity here. And we're a little bit on the backside of that wave, but we need to get back out in front of that. We need to work really, really hard to make sure this community understands that UAH is going to be a vibrant part of it, that we're going to make great contributions to it. You know, at the end of the day, what we want to do at UAH is we want to be a great contributor to this community here, right? And we want the community to value what we do. And they do, but all of that can be enhanced.
Right.
So when you look at the opportunities here for young people, you know, like I said, the employment opportunities are off the chart. The opportunity to get hands-on learning experiences through working with the various companies here, I think are just remarkable. And we want to have a great comprehensive university. We're going to grow the science, engineering, technology side of the house. But ultimately, we've got to have a great business college. We've got to have a great nursing college. We've got to have a great college of education. All of those things are important to make contributions to this community here.
So obviously you've been to the I2C a couple of times since just December. I think you can probably give a tour of the space yourself at this point.
You even came to our Christmas party.
Yes. But obviously we are a very, entrepreneurial ecosystem, and we not only have people in the community, like you said, but we also try to give students the opportunity to enter that space while they're still taking courses here at UAH. So in your opinion, how can a facility like I2C contribute to accelerating, the entrepreneurship of these students who come in?
So I2C is already making a huge contribution here in Huntsville, and if Huntsville's not entrepreneurial, I don't know where is, right? You go back and look at people that came here with the space race shortly after Dr. Von Braun came here, and those folks who've gone out and started very, very successful companies, and I think that continues on through the defense industry. When you look at Redstone Arsenal, and it all goes all the way to our microbreweries here. Where, some of our UAH alum have done really well in that space. So I think you already have a tremendous amount of entrepreneurship here in Huntsville, and I think I2C can kind of be a focal point for all those efforts. So as I walk around through here in the facility, I see folks from the community who, once are currently work on the Arsenal, or they work in at NASA, they work in various places, and they want to come over here and take advantage of the opportunities that you afford them. But I think it's also important that students recognize that that's a great opportunity too. I think sometimes students come here, you had mentioned about your internship. I think too many times students come here and they view their college experience as all these great classes they're going to take. Paraphrasing Mark Twain, he once said something like, I try to never let my schooling get in the way of my education. And I've always encouraged young people to recognize that here at UAH, your schooling is going to be all these classes you take, right? And look, we're going to give you great schooling. There's going to be great classes here, right? But your education occurs on so many other fronts, right? It occurs because you do an internship at I2C, or because you go out and do an undergraduate research experience, or you do a study abroad, or you go on a mission trip, or you start a student organization that's going to go out and mentor middle school kids, right? And so I don't think you want to be bound just by those opportunities that are afforded you in the classroom. Now, I want you to take full advantage of those things, right? Get to know those faculty members. They all are in this business because they enjoy working with young people. So you want to take advantage of that, but you want to try to take advantage of those things outside the classroom too. I think that's really, really important. And as you start saying that, okay, I'm going to establish a vision for what I want to do, I'm going to put a process in place, and I'm going to stay with the process, you have to recognize that the process shouldn't just be get a degree, right? It needs to be so much more than that. In any degree program here, we'll probably give you a flow chart that's got a bunch of boxes that represent the classes, and really the way college works is this: you take that flow chart, every time you pass one of those classes, you check that box off, right, and then you come back and we give you a degree. But if the only thing you do while you're at UAH is check those boxes, you've absolutely wasted the opportunity of a lifetime.
Right.
So you really need to get engaged and involved with those things outside the classroom. I just think those are critically important. I2C plays an important part of that, not just for our students, but for people in the community as well.
Absolutely.
And it shows that you enjoy being here, and I can tell you're really passionate about
So
UAH.
you know who the biggest benefactor of me taking this job is?
Who?
My two grown sons. They wear the same size as me, and I literally had about 40 really, really nice shirts from a former university here in the state, and they actually got to inherit all of that.
Good hand-me-downs. That's a good.
I love that. What are your views about the importance of cultivating culture and the innovation on campus? Because I know you're growing campus, you have these big plans.
So culture is really important, and everywhere I've ever been, culture is really about the people and their perspective and their attitudes on things. If I've ever been to a place to where an organization wasn't performing at its fullest, then it was generally because there were at least one of two issues there. Number one was communication kinds of issues or relationship kinds of issues, and the other was culture. We don't want to be a place where we're satisfied where we are. You make no mistake about it, UAH is a tremendous university. It's a great institution.
Agreed, yeah.
Learning. But it can be so much more, right? And ultimately, collectively, we need to make a determination and a decision that we want to try to capitalize on that potential. I think when I think I'd been announced for this position, but hadn't officially started drawing a paycheck. I think I came up here, and in those 3 days, when the 8th person told me we have so much potential, I think that's when I slammed my hand on the desk and said, okay, I'll know that we've been successful here if we never have to say that again, right? Because how would you like to be your epitaph? Sarah Davidson. She had so much potential, right? That's not good, right? Because the conclusion is you didn't live up to that.
Yeah, I fell short of it.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things we want to try to do is to create a culture and environment where everybody here can be successful. And I think one of the things that young people lose sight of is, hey, at the end of the day, you define success for you, right? And it shouldn't be based on anybody else's perception of what it is you should do.
Not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, okay, look, and if you want to go out and be the greatest volunteer at the soup kitchen, okay, if you do that to your fullest ability and that's success for you, then that's success, right? It doesn't matter that you could have been a neurosurgeon or whatever. So you ultimately define that success, but I think you have an obligation to work really, really hard to achieve what it is you set for. And over the years, I can tell you that my favorite people that I've ever been around, they weren't always the best players I coached. They weren't always the best students in my classroom. They weren't always the best faculty under my charge, but they were almost always those people who reduced the gap between their potential and what they accomplished. Who is it that came closest to achieving their full potential? That might have been a C student in my class, and you said, well, God, you had 4 kids in there that made A+. Yeah, but those kids could have done more, right? Yeah. But that young person that made a C was doing everything she could to get that C. Well, that's the kind of folks that I want to surround myself people around, is those people that want to work really, really hard to achieve to their full potential. Create a culture where that's the norm, and we're going to be okay.
Well said. I really like that.
I really appreciate that.
You mentioned earlier there is a huge importance in balancing not only, the education you receive in the classroom, but you also have to have those real world applications in order to, have your full potential and carry it out into a full-time career after you do leave UAH and get your degree. So do you have any just quick advice that you would give to people who have already, graduated, who are going into a career field, how they can, as you said, become their most successful selves?
Well, so there's a whole bunch of things there on that front, right? And I've touched on a few of them. Number one, first and foremost, I think you need to have a clear understanding of what success is going to be for you. If it's to go out and be the CEO of a company, then you need to recognize there's some consequences of that, right? You're going to work those the days are going to run together, which kind of leads to a funny story. I think when I first got here, I heard so much about a fried chicken Wednesday.
Yes.
So I think I went over to the cafeteria 4 different times and told them, hey, I'm ready for that chicken. And they go, it's not Wednesday. So a lot of times you don't even know what day it is, right, when you're working that hard. But so I think first and foremost it starts with young people defining what for them is success. And that can change over a period of time. But if you don't have any idea of what it is you're working toward achieving, how in the world are you going to be able to make good decisions? It's like I tell somebody, if I'm still young on campus, so I get lost a little bit, right? But if I left out of here, out of your parking lot, and I came to a T in the road, and I said, oh my gosh, I don't know if I go left or right. But I saw you walking by, Juliana. I go, hey, Juliana, do I go left or right? What's the first question you're going to ask? Where are you trying to go? Right?
Yeah,
and if I go, I don't know, you can go, well, turn left, turn right, it doesn't matter, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you don't have a clear understanding of what it is you're trying to achieve, then I think you're going to have a real challenge in knowing when you get there. That's probably a Yogi Berra quote somewhere in there. So I think first and foremost, that's one thing, right? Then I think you also do need to recognize as a young person that, look, you're going to face some trials and tribulations and you're going to have some failures. And that's okay, right? I know that current generation's kind of been raised to where you're all special, but When I look in a room of 100 young people and I go, you're special, you're special, you're special, then I'm not sure that we're all that special, right? So, so you need to recognize you're going to have some setbacks, and that's not the end of the world.
Competition's a great thing.
No, absolutely, right. And certainly you want to learn from any failure.
Yes, sir.
Right? You don't want to waste a failure, right? If you do bad on a paper, you want to take the advantage to improve yourself so that you don't keep repeating that. I think also, anytime that people ask me about being successful in college, I hear that a lot as I go out and recruit students, and they think there needs to be this huge, huge plan of, all the things you got to do. And I tell young people this, right? So if you want to be successful in college, I think you got to do two things. Number one, first and foremost, you have to hold true to your moral compass, right? Come on, if you came to UAH and you ditched all the values your parents and teachers and coaches and youth ministers and instilled in you, you just went slap crazy. I mean, I can't help you. You're going to fail. Then number two, you need to get up every single morning, go to work. You need to work at it, right? And you say, well, that's for kids coming to college. Well, what I tell you is when you go out in the career, those two things probably hold as well, right? Hold on to your moral compass, work really hard at it. You get married, probably holds for your marriage, right? So, I think that's it. Just kind of set a course for what it is you want to do. Don't listen to the clutter and worry about what everybody else thinks, because at the end of the day, you need to be content with what you do, and that's a consequence of the goals and objectives you set for it. But I also think you need to own that, right? So if you choose that I'm going to spend all my time working in the soup kitchen, then, you can't begrudge that neighbor of yours who just got a new jet ski or whatever.
You talked about how success changes a definition of time. You've had an awesome career. You've achieved multiple milestones. What would you say your definition of success is now?
Here at UAH, I want us to be great citizens of this community. I want us to be great contributors to this community. I want to make sure that we afford young people an opportunity to achieve those things that they can dream. For me personally, I guess just what I do every single morning is wake up. Some people are driven by the joy of winning. Other people are driven by hating to lose. I'm probably the second, right? So anytime I've been involved with an organization or an entity that's had some success, I'm usually like, okay, now what's the next thing, right? Some people have a 24-hour rule. I think mine's reduced down to 24 minutes or something. I'm kind of driven by the fear of not achieving to the level that I'm capable of. And that's kind of bled into any team I've coached or any class I've taught or any organization I've led, right? We don't want to be an organization to where we leave a whole bunch of stuff on the table. It kind of goes back to that gap, right? We want to try to reduce that gap now.
So I take it that you are a sports fan. And you said that you did 1 year of baseball in college. Did you always see this course of your life? If you would have looked back and seen yourself even as an educator, did you always want to be an educator or work with, students the way that you do now?
I don't know that I ever made a conscientious decision to work with young people. Both my parents were educators. My dad was a football coach and then a middle school principal. My mom was an elementary school librarian. I've always enjoyed competition and helping people work to achieve things. I did go through and get an engineering degree just through some kind of random kinds of things. I decided to go ahead and pursue a graduate degree, but then once I had a PhD, I had taught as a graduate student. I enjoyed that. So when I worked for the Bureau of Mines and they offered me an opportunity to work as a part-time instructor and adjunct, I did that and I really enjoyed it. I certainly didn't foresee going through administrative kinds of things.
Right.
And one of the things that's kind of ironic, and you young people may ultimately experience this, it's like the farther you progress in this profession, the farther away you move from what originally got you into this. Right? Because I used to just really, really enjoy looking out in a classroom, and when that student had that, oh my gosh, moment that they really got it and they understood it, the intensity of that I don't experience anymore. But I steer a larger ship that I make decisions that's going to affect potentially 10,000 students.
Right, yeah.
So that's a little bit of a different feel as you move through it. That's part of why I still like to try to get out and meet students and visit with them, because I kind of missed that a little bit. But
It's a big transition from one classroom to
Change,
a whole
right?
campus
Yeah.
of students.
You know,
Yeah.
You start talking about a graduate class with 5 students in there to a university campus with 10,000, right? It's a little bit different. And it's been gradual, right? I think when I was down at that other university, there were some opportunities for us to grow there. I think when I started as dean, we had, I think, 1,400 students, and when I left, we had almost 6,000. So,
Wow.
we had some really sharp students, but we've got the same kind of young person here at UAH, and a lot of them do really remarkable things. And I'm always really, really interested in reading about what our students accomplish and what our alumni do. It's everything from folks who go out and work on, satellite missions to an alumni here who won Downtown Huntsville Award for a new restaurant, right? Veggie, I think it's called.
Yes, yeah.
Goodness, over there at Low Mill. Now, pardon me, because I don't know an awful lot about Huntsville yet, but I'm sure you two will know about this, right? Over at Low Mill, there's some kind of a candy shop.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you really
Oh,
need
my
to go to Low
goodness.
Mill. The art gallery is beautiful.
You could spend a whole-
I've been to Low Mill.
Oh,
I went to the candy store.
Okay, awesome.
I actually got word back that somebody was in there buying some candy, and they mentioned to the young lady helping her that this was for the president UAH. Did she know him? And the student said, "Oh no, us lowly students, we would never get a chance to meet the president." So the next Saturday morning, I went over there and made a point to look her up and said, "What do you mean lowly students don't get to meet the president?"
Wow.
You like outreach. I can tell you love to go out. What would you say your favorite event that you've come to UAH so far? I know. Did you go to the doggies in the library, the puppies?
Oh, I saw some.
I ought to just make every day Puppy Day.
Please.
Puppy Day is really neat. Went to Peace on Earth when we first got here. Graduation was really, really fun. My wife's taken me over to Low Mill. Just visiting with folks over there was really neat. Ooh, she took me to Hartsville for antique shopping.
Oh, I'm sure that was
We've enjoyed
good way to spend the weekend.
Well, we've enjoyed the downtown area. We went to the Nutcracker. Looking forward to getting over to the art gallery downtown, visit several of the sports teams here at their practice sessions.
Sounds like
And
you've
then
had a
what?
busy
Fried
couple of months.
Fried Chicken Wednesday.
Fried Chicken
what else
Wednesday.
we
That'll
do
that'll
than
make
that,
anybody
right?
stay on campus.
You're still new to the Huntsville area. Has there anything you've not experienced you want to experience, or what do you love about Huntsville so far?
Well, look, I've known an awful lot about Huntsville for a long time. And at the end of the day, there's neat buildings and there's neat facilities and there are neat opportunities. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to people. And there are just a lot of really, really wonderful people in this community. And, I'm not sure that all the people in Huntsville fully recognize what it is they've accomplished up here. The community here is just remarkable. From the great K through 12 system to the wonderful educated workforce to, the patriotism of the community, the high moral fabric of the community. And I think people up here who have been in the throes of actually building the community may not ever step back and recognize what it is they've accomplished, but they should be really, really proud of what they've accomplished up here. And a lot of people, they think, well, this is just what all of Alabama looks like, right? Well, trust me when I tell you it is not.
Right.
So, I hope the folks up here are really, really proud of what they've done. We're really looking forward to when the weather turns a little bit, being able to get out at some of the street festivals down in the downtown area. We really, really are looking forward to when the Low House is ready that we can entertain people over there. My wife and I are living in the Low House down in Twickenham, which is the university's president's mansion. And, first and foremost, we view it as an asset for UAH, so we really, really want to be able to have people over and the like.
I didn't even know we had a president's mansion, so that's really cool.
Secondarily, the Low House is the place my wife and I lay our heads in the evening. But
You've done a lot in your career. I've said that multiple times. If you could go back and change anything, would you?
that's a really good question, and I'll tell you, I'm a terrible person to ask that because I kind of ripped the rearview mirror off a long time ago. A lot to be gained by sitting and looking back at what you've done or not done or decisions you made or should have made or could have made. Almost all of my focus is on trying to move forward. I tell young people all the time, I really couldn't care less what you couldn't do yesterday. I care about what you can do today. So, I know there's benefit from looking back to try to learn lessons, but I think at some point you try to learn the lesson and you just move on, right? It's really about trying to see what kinds of improvements and changes and things we can work on today. So I don't really sit back and try to evaluate, well, I wonder if I would have gone to Georgia Tech, or I wonder if I would have kept playing baseball. I just think that's kind of a waste of time, right? So, I mean, we're all faced with situations now. You got to use the knowledge you gain from those experiences, but I don't really sit back and kind of second guess anything.
Thank you so much for joining us today and coming back to the I2C and just taking, time out of, I'm sure, your busy schedule to sit down and have a conversation with us.
You seem like you never have a time just to stop.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate it. Hey, go Chargers. I really do appreciate y'all taking time. Look, I know y'all are really busy, and, I know you got an awful lot of things going on, so thank you for taking time with me. I really appreciate the opportunity. I guess if I summed it up, my wife and I are just really, really thrilled and honored to have the opportunity to be a part of this community and this great university, and so thanks for all you do.
All right, thank you one last time so much to Dr. Karr for being on our podcast. Truly enjoyed our conversation, learning a little bit more about his background, about what he plans for UAH, and his experience here so far. Make sure to stay connected at UAH I2C on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Bye, everyone. Onward and upward.